Hi, my name is Jorey. I am a trauma-informed life coach, and I wanted to talk today specifically about the first responder world. Wait for a car to go past. I want to talk to the first responder world. I had a good friend reach out to me, and he brought up a very good point, and that is that in the world of first responders, we are, and when I say we, I'm talking about the individual departments, but we are so liability driven that when there's a critical incident, when there is something that's hard for the troops to deal with, to handle, we so quickly jump to the liability damage control that we often forget that the first responders who responded to that call are actually people. You know, they're human beings with families and with lives and with, quite frankly, with their plate already pretty full, their emotional plate pretty full. You know, it was the emotional stuff was, it was described to me as a balloon, right? We've all got these balloon sensors that as we feel stressed, the balloon starts to increase. And most people, their balloon is rather small. So when they have a stressful event, the balloon can flex. People with PTSD or people who are on the verge of it, people who have anxiety, depression, whatever it might be, due to the job as a first responder, their balloon's already big. So when we respond to a critical incident, and then right after, the department, the agency wants to do a debrief, wants to do, you know, basically litigation defense right off the bat. You know, sometimes there's a policy violation, sometimes there is an action that maybe someone at the top, the brass, wouldn't have chosen to do themselves, or honestly maybe they would have back in the day, but as an administrator they're going to say that they never would have done that. These things can be more harmful than helpful, and we need to put our first responders and their mental health ahead of department liability. We have protections under the law for when we do our job correctly, and we do it constitutionally, and we do it with, you know, the best of intentions. There are protections for us, so we don't need to jump straight to litigation defense. We can take a minute, we can pause, and we can help that first responder. So, you know, this isn't to come down on all agencies. There's a lot of agencies that are doing a lot of good things for a lot of people, a lot of departments, a lot of first responders. But I'm not going to go as far as to say that the departments are the problem, but they are certainly one of the potential solutions. And what we need to do is we need to all get together and sit down, and we need to have a real discussion about how we can improve mental health for our first responders. One of those big ways is, in my opinion, we need to get rid of department-funded and department-run support groups. And the reason for that is because if they are department-sanctioned, that means that they operate at the will of the department. And if they're operating at the will of the department, that means that the department can find out about what goes on inside that meeting. So I think peer support groups are phenomenal. They just need to happen somewhere other than within the administration of a specific department. I think we ought to have, you know, regional, non-governmental, nonprofit organizations who run these programs. So that's just one of my ideas. I've got a lot more of them, but I would love to, if you guys know anybody who's at the head of a police department, head of a fire department, head of EMS or whatever, if you've got connections and they are willing to sit down and discuss this with me, I would love to have the opportunity to discuss this. We're going to become more vocal. I'm part of a group I'll talk about later that is a nonprofit, and we're going to continue to make this known. It's going to become public, and we're going to talk a lot more about it. But I would love to be able to sit down with the heads of departments, the heads of government, and begin to have this conversation about how we can protect our first responders before we end up protecting the pocketbook of the government entity involved. So that was my 2 cents. Let's think of better ways to help first responders other than crying about suicides when they happen. Unfortunately, they happen way too often. So my name's Jorey. I am a trauma-informed life coach, and I would love to take your comments, your suggestions, your likes, your shares. Please help us out and let's get this word out. Thanks so much.